morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Alexander. I'm the CEO of InvestGlass. Thank you for attending this webinar where we'll present you InvestGlass onboarding and offboarding solution. I'm Alexander, and today we're going to show you all the magical recipes that we've applied to brokers, to banks, but also to NGOs and governments institutions. Stay until the end of this presentation, as at the end of the presentation, we'll show you also our latest novelties, partly for iPhones, iPads, but also what we'll be doing now with the large language models inside InvestGlass. So with no further ado, I'm going to now share my screen and present you what we've been offering with InvestGlass recently on the onboarding. So first, few words about InvestGlass. InvestGlass is a Swiss-based company. Investors, clients, different types of financial institutions are coming to us because first, we are a Swiss sovereign cloud, which means that all the data stays on servers here in Switzerland. Of course, when you're in Mauritius, in Panama, in Africa, or in the Middle East, we install InvestGlass on your premise, would it be in Mauritius, in Dubai, in Saudi Arabia, or any other countries. InvestGlass also has ready-made use cases for financial industries, but for also other types of industries, insurance, governments, schools. So I invite you to contact us to see what we have inside the toolbox. Also, we deliver Swiss quality in terms of programming. What does it mean? It means that InvestGlass keeps improving itself with new tools, new improvements, which are key to let you improve your processes and make sure that you will always be at the top of what's needed in terms of digitalization. Now, InvestGlass clients come to InvestGlass usually because InvestGlass offers something that is completely different, which is the hosting on Swiss servers. So no need to have any US connection, no need to have connection to third-party APIs. Everything stays in Switzerland. What are the turnkey applications of InvestGlass? Of course, you have onboarding, but you also have all the tools that you'll need for CRM, for automation, as well as to use a client portal for onboarding and offboarding. InvestGlass aims to amplify all the customer experience. So with InvestGlass, you will connect the different tools all together to automate those processes. Of course, if you already have a stack with existing tools, maybe an existing CRM or maybe an existing digital onboarding, we can connect InvestGlass elements to your existing stack to make sure that you will keep what's working fine and use the best of InvestGlass where it's needed. White label for financial institutions and banks. This is what we're going to show mostly during the presentation with the different tools of onboarding and offboarding. So why are we talking about onboarding and offboarding? Because it's the core of InvestGlass. Actually, it's the symbol of InvestGlass that you see to the right, and to the left, it represents our mindset, which is to have a customer-centric solution where we will be looking to achieve as much as possible with InvestGlass tool, some onboarding and offboarding that will be fast, meaningful, and efficient. Of course, what is important when you do this is to make sure that you look into the client's mindset. And for that, we have to make sure that between the trust, the personalization, and the dream of the customer, we will also find the right fit between what's compliant and what is not compliant. Of course, in onboarding, we have seen this many times. It's difficult to onboard any type of customer for any type of purposes. We've seen this partly for brokers where multiple signatories are needed, or even for a private bank and retail bank when you onboard companies. The first question is, who can technically sign the account opening forms? And the answer to these very basic questions will vary from one customer to another. We are used to install InvestGlass, of course, on your premise, but we can also prepare everything off premise. This has been the case for most banks that we deployed. So we prepare all the onboarding and the offboarding outside your premise, and then we install it on your server. InvestGlass teams is now, as you can see, growing with teams starting from Vietnam time to now team in Sao Paulo. We also can help you for multi-core banking orchestration, and this is important for later on. You'll see for offboarding when you're a broker, for instance. We can bring the data from different core system and then use it for a unified onboarding or for unified offboarding. Unified onboarding is a product that we are currently offering with Standard Chartered for asset managers and brokers that want to open relationship faster with Standard Chartered and then receive all the different elements such as transactions, price, directly into their core banking, unified core banking, unified portfolio management system. So the first step of onboarding is first to design your process. So process design, it's something key to process design. It's key to your onboarding. Okay, how many steps are you going to allow between finding a prospect, sharing the account opening forms, then have them sign or fill in some information, accept this prospect, turn it into a customer, automate certain types of welcome email, opening the portal, etc. With InvestGlass, we're doing this each week with new customers, brokers, banks, different types of institutions. The question is how fast you want to deal with this relationship of account opening, how much information you have to collect, and who has to fill in this information. The answer here is always complex to deliver, because some of our customers will use their mobile phone or their tablets to fill in some information, so digitalize their account opening and then move around with the tablets. Other will do more of an hybrid approach, where customers will fill in some information, relationship manager will put some information, and then there'll be some kind of mixture in the middle. Some other will do pure digital onboarding, where all the information will be filled in directly from the portal. And again, some other will go and just throw away some emails and attach documents, attach forms, so that they can onboard their prospects remotely. Of course, on each of those elements of each of those processes, it's a different types of nature of onboarding. It's a different type of quality of the service you're offering. And if this transformation actually is failing, we found out that most of the time is because you don't provide enough information at the beginning of the onboarding, or that the prospect cannot foresee how much information you're going to ask into different steps. So my suggestion to you first is to make sure that you have set this process correctly with your team. And if you're an existing company, you will very quickly find where are the potential bottlenecks. Will it be on the approval process? Will it be on the automation? And we'll help you also to find which setup will be the most acquainted for your company. But as you can see here, and that's why we're staying quite long time on this slide, there are different ways of changing this approval process, this account opening, sending confirmation emails, maybe sending an SMS. And here, this is where you're going to have a lot of brainstorming, I think, with InvestGlass team, to make sure that this process is actually fulfilling your needs and fulfilling your mindset and your clients' expectations. Now, what is the onboarding? First, when you do onboarding, you have to see what type of data you're going to collect. If you are in Europe, you have a GDPR. If you're in Switzerland, you have an equivalent LDAP, which is a protection for investors, a protection for customers' data. Of course, we also have some NGOs or some para-governmental institutions that don't care about GDPR, but that's another topic. But for most of you watching the video today, what's important is to see is to check what information you're gonna store and who will actually access this information. This is what we call the who sees what. And based on the different roles, based on the different authorities, based on the different groups, you can restrict the visibility of each field and each record with InvestGlass. Of course, all the changes can be recorded, audited, and now we have automatic deletion. So for instance, prospects could be automatically deleted after 3 years being idle inside your CRM. Now, what type of servicing are you expecting to offer? You can offer on a tablet, you can offer on a mobile phone. I'll show you at the end of this video, this presentation, the new InvestGlass application. So you have to first select what is the approach. It can even be paper, maybe. And then what type of interaction do you want to do? Most of my clients, InvestGlass clients, are actually collecting data with an automatic system. It's usually fully digital. Only when you have sophisticated onboarding, perhaps because it's legal entities, you have interactions with maybe the director of the companies to have deeper understanding of how the company is structured. Now, quicker is better. I would say faster is better. Onboarding that lasts more than 20 minutes will be, for most cases, a failure. So it's important that you collect information in a smart way. If you do have onboarding that are quite long, above 20 minutes, my suggestion is to make sure that you have a save for later button so that you can, onboard in multiple phases. Of course, if it's an onboarding on InvestGlass mobile phone, like the new InvestGlass application that you have now available on InvestGlass, you will have an onboarding that will be very fast, maybe 5, maximum 10 minutes, but 5 minutes should be the maximum of onboarding you should offer to your customer. Then for onboarding, you have to plan the collection of data. So that's what we found out most of the time with our customers, is that they're very good at doing the first week or the first days or maybe even the first hours of onboarding, but they don't plan the whole year. And you need to plan the whole year. First, because of course, if you're doing an onboarding on 20 minutes, there could be some information that you will not collect in those 20 minutes. And you want to collect it, I would say, in bits all year long. Here, this is an example of what you could do. For example, you could say, okay, on the onboarding, I'm going to focus mostly on a collection of first name, last name, LEI, if it's a company, passport, ID card numbers, and then address. Or I want to do the full spectrum right away. Or I want to do the full spectrum and also ask about their product preferences. My suggestion on this is that it should be different times. There's a time for collecting data, for account opening, for selecting the transactions, the processes, the services that you're going to offer to your new customers. And there's a time for products pushing. I think you should differentiate both. And of course, don't forget customer's anniversary. Now, also, after sending a customer later, the marketing department will start pushing some information to your customer. For this, there are different tools inside InvestGlass. If you're using the client portal, you can push notifications, you can send emails, you can also push notification on mobile phones with the latest investments IDs, suggestions. It's important that you also have this process in place to understand clients' preferences, to understand also what are the client's objections, what are the client's preferences, objections is absolutely key to your company. Of course, if you're a new company, to your company evaluation, but if you're a legacy incumbent bank, it's also very important to make sure that you will respect new customers' expectations in terms of quality servicing. Now, forms. Forms, as you all know, is key to InvestGlass. Inside the form system, you will have different input types, parent questions, as you see on the left. It's important that you find the right input in the right time, and that also when you build your onboarding forms, you look into the logic of the questions that you're going to ask. Why? Because most of the time you're going to send us 5, 10, 20, 30 pages of Word documents that we're going to turn into a digital onboarding. Of course, inside those documents, you have legal logics, right? Parent questions, hidden questions. The chance you have when you do it on a digital way is that you could eventually just show the questions that are needed. So you don't need to show the whole architecture. You don't need to show the whole paper. You can actually go faster with digital onboarding. That's why parent questions is so important. Now to the right, what you see is the SMS system. When you're using InvestGlass forms remotely, you need to make sure that the person that is in front of you, I mean, this is digitally in front of you, is actually fulfilling those forms correctly. For that, you can use different types of factor of authentication that will improve, that will strengthen the authenticity of who filled in those forms. For that, you can use emails, you can use SMS, also third-party applications such as face recognitions. Here I'm showing you for the SMS. So the SMS will actually be sent with a one-time PIN, OTP, one-time password. And then your prospects or customers will have to type in this 6 digits back into the form. Okay. So this is very interesting when you're doing onboarding. Of course, it's very important if you're doing onboarding and you already know the customers. So you don't need to have a qualified qualified signature, that will go into, I would say, on the cloud process. Here, everything can stay on premise and you have a full end-to-end onboarding with the forms and with this verification. InvestGlass offers a very interesting tool of packages, which helps to collect at one place information and then bring it back into different forms. The signature system and the group PDF also, which is quite new, helps to collect different PDF, bring them together, and then put inside the last page a representation of the signature, as well as a system of ledger. You might know the American equivalent solution. We are offering today exactly the same type of technology with different types of signatories, order, and then the collection of all those signatures inside a group PDF. I invite you to contact us, to contact your project manager with InvestGlass to look into how this works, because with this system, you will gain in productivity, collect documents, and also what is very important if you're dealing with companies with multiple signatories or multiple BOs, beneficial owner in private banking, this tool will be an absolutely must-have and must-use now that we have it for the onboarding. Now, onboarding can also be used with third-party application. So if you're using Onfido, if you're using the SDK of SumSub, we like SumSub, it's possible to use the SumSub SDK and connect it directly with InvestGlass. So this process is through APIs, and everything is already present. I would say hard-coded. I don't like this word, but the system is actually working with those providers. So please let us know if you want to use it. I think you can do it by yourself. In fact, if you have SumSub, you just generate a token and then connect it to InvestGlass. Once all those informations are collected, you have to push it into an approval process system. The approval process system aims to validate contacts, documents, accounts in, I would say, a series or in parallel way. So you have a group of approvers. It can be your compliance team, your management team, your IT team. It's like ticking a box of different types of process that you have to fulfill, and this can be done in series and parallel. There are multiple things we can share with you about approval processes, such as approval processes in parallel so that two groups can actually vote. One can reject, the other one voted saying that they approved. If they reject, they can ask for documents to be uploaded by the relationship manager, for example, or by the client. The client upload the missing documents. Bam, it goes back to vote casting. And once it's been validated by both groups, it can go back to now the next step, the next stage of this approval process. This is absolutely core. We've been using this for brokers, retail bank, private banks, different types of companies approving invoices as well. And it would be absolutely mandatory for you to use this tool if you want to gain in productivity. The routing system, it's quite new. The routing system started in February, March. This aims to distribute opportunities, distribute new prospects to your relationship managers by creating opportunities. Here you see the opportunity. It's a sale of a Maestro card. This system of routing is very powerful. It will look into the complexity of selling something or doing something, like accomplishing a task. Each task, each product has a number of points. This is what we call an opportunity. And then the machine will look into the daily capacity of your employees, of your colleagues. So you can set the numbers of points into the members page. And then each time they fulfill an action, it will deduct the numbers of points. Here you see I set it to 5. We built this for a retail bank in Switzerland. Why? Because they needed to distribute the opportunity based on the agency, based on the language, based on the availability. And here, as you can find, the machine will automatically find who is the most available, speaking French or English, French, yeah, or not English. I'm sorry, English, but not German. That is in the office. And of course, this works with an escalation system. So if you remove an employee or if someone doesn't respond in a given moment, given period of time, then it can be escalated to a managing director of the agency or the group. The capacity workflow management is extremely important. It can work with the most available or the least active colleagues that you have. I'll share with you all those slides later on, but it's extremely helpful because it will help you to distribute in a fair way all those compliance or all those new opportunity deal flow that you have to manage. So for those using InvestGlass with groups of approvers, as you know, group of approvers is just pushing to a group. Here is designing someone specific based on the numbers of points. It's a different way of looking at the approvers group. Perhaps you might be interested to try this tool as well. Now, it's interesting because ultimately it produces different types of metrics. So you'll know based on the opportunities that have been fulfilled, who are the most, I would say, available, fulfilling tasks, and you'll produce different types of scores of efficiency inside your company. We have clients using also the system for incidents. So incidents is slightly different from an opportunity. An opportunity will be on the daily basis. On the incidents is going to be on the hour basis. So in an hour, how many people are going to deal with this this new type of incidents tickets that has been created? Those elements are very important into the onboarding. Now let's talk about the offboarding. So offboarding means removing people from the list, removing people from your company. For that, InvestGlass has different tools of automation. Why are we talking about automation? Because now we're going to talk about the risk of having a relationship with someone. You can offboard a customer because they don't make enough money with them. You can offboard a customer because they are at risk for your own business or at risk for themselves. For that, InvestGlass offers a routing system with a calculation of points so that at each different types of events, transactions, invoices, marketing, you eventually can remove the numbers of points and later on remove completely the prospect or this customer from your list. This is possible also because we have a group of risk monitoring. We have a group of elements that are purely made, of course, for finance here. Suitability, appropriateness, ESG, risk metrics, which will help you also to generate a numbers of points and eventually see if this relationship is at risk for your business. Now, most customers will use also what we call KYC remediations and KYC escalations. Here you see an example. It's in French, but for those speaking French, you can read it. Otherwise, I'll share with you also an English version. This is a sophisticated KYC remediation system where we need to collect from customers, from investor in that case here, some specific information. If they don't comply, if they don't respond to the email, so this is the first column that you see to the left, then we will switch from email process to a phone process. And if they don't respond to SMS process, I would say, then we'll start a third process, a third column, which is calling. And if they don't, then we'll see what we do manually to trigger perhaps an offboarding, a manual offboarding, or it can be an automated offboarding. Here you have a sophisticated process that is being implemented with InvestGlass. As you can see, it's rich because it uses emails and SMS and calling. Of course, it uses the forums, the CRM, the campaign tools. The question you have to ask yourself when you start implementing this type of offboarding, you have to see, well, it's going to be the human costs. Email costs and SMS costs, it's not might not be that big. But of course, if you're dealing with customers in countries like Canada or in the Middle East, SMS might not be working. So if you do KYC remediation with people where they won't receive an SMS, you know that if they don't comply with stage 1, well, stage 2, of course, it's just going to be a waste of time. So you're going to wait for 15 or 16 more days. Here it's, as you can see, it's 5 plus 10 plus 10 in the middle. So you're going to wait for nothing, and you won't find any answer to your remediation. So you have to think through this process. And then it's how much time you have to execute this process. Maybe sometimes for regulatory reasons, you have to speed up the collection of data. So you might want to say, okay, I have different nature of customers. The red, the orange, and the green. The green is where you have very little risk, maybe because it's similar to your origin of regulation and your customers are nested in the right country with the right type of service. So, you know, it's green. Other are red, you know, they are flagged already. They have been refusing to do complying with different processes. They're going to be a pain, and perhaps you want to offboard them quicker. And then you have the orange, which are maybe people that are slightly careless, or I don't know, they have a bunch of limited power of attorneys, LPOAs, or lawyers that you have to deal with, and they might be difficult animal to handle. The question is how you're going to handle this type of relationship also based on the way you're communicating and they are reacting to you. So there's a very interesting metric that we've been adding for brokers, partly that do KYC remediation, is the I would say the quality of the exchange that you have with those clients. If you know that you have clients that are slightly careless, then you put them right away into the red box, and the rest you keep it into the orange when you know that it's just an issue of communication and you need to improve maybe some few things that you know is not going to be a trouble. The biggest issue here, of course, is that in your company you'll have a limited staff for the KYC, maybe 1, maybe 5, maybe 20 people. But you'll need to deal with all this process as fast as possible. So here again, with InvestGlass, team will help you figure out how to manage this type of KYC remediation and how to prevent bottleneck into the escalation, right? Because escalation, meaning that you're going to bring this to a next level of colleagues, you don't want to create a bottleneck all in the same place. To prevent those bottlenecks, of course, you can use self-serving portals. So push information directly to the right group of investor. The green will receive green information, the blue will receive blue forms, and you can host this information into InvestGlass portal or of course into the app. Now let's look into the app itself. Let's look into the different forms. First, it's important to see that InvestGlass now offers different types of format of forms. How is this possible and how this works? Because most of the time, for those using InvestGlass, you're familiar with forms that are way more, I would say, simple or boring for people that would put it like this. It's on purpose that the forms are very simple. Now, with InvestGlass system, you can now change the design and include also a CSS override. And this is how we can now have this type of forms, which is, of course, meant to be used for mortgage, for loans, for insurance, for third pillars, troisième pilier onboarding. Those forms behind are fully open, which means that all the information of this onboarding will then be directly sent into the CRM of InvestGlass. So here you have this this field here, and as you can find, you can nest it directly inside the right field inside InvestGlass. Okay, those onboarding forms can be then nested anywhere in the in your website. Okay, so this works with a secured iframe system. So let me show you. Into the general here, you will have to just put here the website address that you're using to nest then this form inside your website. Okay. In terms of format, of course, the format can vary, but the system of digital onboarding and forms is always the same. You have pages with questions. So, for example, here I have one form with multiple pages and multiple questions. Each of those questions then will be related to a field. Okay, so page, now I'm going to see here, and now I'm going to have here a drop down with different values. Okay, these values can also have different scores. This is very important if you're doing client risk, CRS, client risk assessments, or different types of scoring. So InvestGlass can help you calculate different type of scores. And here, as you can see, you have a jumping question. So people loving cats will answer cats questions. People loving dogs will answer dog questions. Of course, here is a bit more serious, but you understand the system. You have a system of parent questions, so you can jump from one question to another if it's needed. Let me look a bit more into this onboarding tool for you, so that you understand also what you have now into InvestGlass. The system has been enriched, for those that know InvestGlass, for quite some time now with many interesting options. You can add questions, links, descriptions, but also iframes, blank fields, hidden fields, account child, contact child, audience opt-in, opt-out. This, of course, is needed when you're doing GDPR. So you can link automatically a prospect to an audience, add an image, and add also signatories. The signatory system aims to facilitate the collection of signatures. So if you have multiple signatures to collect. And we also now offer this possibility to show question in 1, 2, 3 multiple columns. This is very nice if you want to have, I would say, a squeezed form on 2 or 3 columns to make it smaller, I would say. So this is how the system of questions and pages is working. Now, once you are actually dealing with forms, as I said, you might be interested to collect those forms into packages. To do this, you need to use the system of tags. So let me show you a form with packages, or package with forms. Here, okay. So this is a package for Jack. As you can appreciate here, the forms are already pre-filled with different information. The nature of those fields can vary. You can upload files, you can sign documents, you can generate a PDF, you can submit, you can also save it for later. You'll find also here, which is very handy, a level of completion. So here, as you can see, only 20% of this form has been filled in, but it represents already 44% of this other form. This is very nice if you have long forms and you want to, I would say, make sure that your customer will fill in those forms and understand how much they have to do. Here, what you see, it's also InvestGlass new tool to facilitate the booking of meeting. This is an InvestGlass tool. Once filling in those information, it will also book a meeting with the relationship manager. Now, let me go back to the form to see what's behind. You can notify who is going to receive a notification. So this is an easy way of doing it. Most of you guys are using automation behind, so you won't be using this. But if you are a smaller group, a smaller firm, you might prefer to have a submission directly from here. Then you have an ending message. It's possible to improve this ending message now with different types of styles, colors, as you can see. So you can really create very nice looking finishing messages. Then the recording of all the information about this form. So this is very important for compliance reason, to make sure that you keep a trace of the change of this digital onboarding form. And then you'll have a lot of options. I won't show you all those options. It includes signatures, it includes scores, it includes showing the score at the end. And then here you'll find the redirect on submit. So when you finish filling in this form, where do you want to send the prospect or the client? So I can select which URL. You can also shoot and use this option on answer. So based on a specific answer, you can interrupt an onboarding to go to another process. Okay. And now we have a new version. So that's the right time now to show you this new system on InvestGlass. Why do we have LegTech output and PDF upload? Let me show you that. So InvestGlass now has a new technology which you can just upload your forms, such as a W8. And on those forms, just add the document. So here, general, I'm going to put a W8. And now in the page, simply I add a question. So for example, your TIN number. I can then link this field, as you know now, to a related field inside the CRM. And now you'll find this new very handy option where I can simply click inside this PDF, and this will automatically find out the position inside this PDF. I'm pretty sure that a lot of you have a lot of ideas of what you can do with it. Of course, this can be used for W8 and W9, and InvestGlass offers pre-registered, pre-created W8, 9, BEN, and IMI forms. So if you are InvestGlass customers, you can ask today to receive those type of forms inside your system. Why do we do it? Because obviously, as you might know, those questions, so those forms have roughly anywhere between 40 to 80 questions. So it's a lot of, I would say, setup that we've done already. So you can benefit and fill in those forms. Filling forms, of course, without having to leave anything outside your premise if your InvestGlass is on your premise or on the Swiss cloud. And this is very nice because all the solutions using this, usually like HelloSign, DocuSign, Scribbles, are all using the clouds. Most of them are using US clouds. Most of them are actually outside the European Union or on US servers, but of course, with the Cloud Act, you still have an issue. Here we offer a perfect mix between on-prem, traditional way and secure way of seeing the storage of your data, and those onboarding form system that is quite modern. Now, for the design, as I told you, you can design it with many types of options. Some people love to use the black box around the questions. We have this very fancy stuff. So once you answer a question, automatically the page will move to show you the next question. This is very handy if you're using, for instance, images. So instead of filling in boxes, you have images to click. Of course, as it's a lot of image, here it will facilitate the process if the form automatically scrolls up when you're selecting the next question. And you'll appreciate that now all the buttons are multilingual. You can change the designs. You see there's no programming. It's very easy to use. As for the permissions, you can give a permission to a member to fill in these forms, but it's also possible to share it on the client portal. The client portal and the app, and I'll show you the app, are functioning the same way. Okay, so if you share it with the portal, you share it also on the iOS Android app. Here you will implement the two-factor authentication. So you will look into this feature, again, if you're pushing a form to prospects or clients via email, for instance, and you want to secure the communication. And last but not least, this is a new conditioning system. So here it will help you to load different types of packages based on different types of answers. So the answers, for instance, can be from which country, in which country your company is incorporated. And based on that, the machine can help you with civil law or common law type of packages that will self being created from this package system. Very easy to use. If you need some help, of course, let us know. This is a very handy tool. Now, let's look into the different contacts, accounts, and relations. When you start with InvestGlass, the first natural way of using InvestGlass is to say, okay, I'm going to store all the information inside my CRM. But are you storing the information with the right object? 3 levels of objects: contacts, relations, and accounts. What is the difference? Contacts is you, it's me, it's an individual, it's not a company. First name, last name is really the basic of the architecture. A relation will link multiple people together. It can be a family, here the Smith family, it can be a company, it can be a trust. You're going to collect into this system of relation multiple contacts. It means also when you're going to edit this relationship that you will find now tools like the signatories, where you can add multiple signatories if they are authorized to do so, to collect the signature inside this relation. Of course, you won't find the signatory system into a contact because it's one contact, but you'll find it into the relations, and you'll find them also into the accounts. If you're banks, if you're a broker, 99.999% of the time, I'll tell you guys, go for an account. It's easier. It works usually with your system of core banking or core order management system. Go with an account. This means also that your forms, when you will build them, will be account-centric, or they will be contact-centric, or they will be relation-centric. Here, you see, it's a form for a contact. That's why it's very important when you start your design to make sure that the architecture of your data and the forms and the processes are thought through. Again, if you're a bank, if you're a broker, any financial institution, or if you have an ERP already in place, go with an account strategy first. Don't go with a contact strategy. If you are a wealth manager, if you're a lawyer, if you are an association, you will go definitely with a relation or even with a contact-centric system. Now, to create new fields with InvestGlass, we have into InvestGlass one important tool, partly important if you start using InvestGlass for the first time, is this importer system, which will help you to import fields, which will also help you to update records. So if the records are already existing, you don't want to create a new record, you don't want to create a new contact, and update the data directly from here. If you want to add manually different fields, you can use the custom field system. Here it's very simple, action, new fields, and inside this new field, you have all the options to create those new securities. As we are nearly at the end of the presentation, let me tell you what we're building now. On this page, we are now building a system which will help you to multiply, to organize algorithm around those fields. So if you want to multiply price, multiply by quantity, if you want to operate different types of operation on those fields, this will be an option that will come later on. Recording all the fields are very important on your onboarding and your offboarding. Now, once you've done that, you will start using automations and approval processes. Let me start first with automation. Here, the automation rule system is very simple. So, new prospect. I'm going to select now contact, make it simple, on record action, on form submit. I have a new form, onboarding form. So this form is typically a form that you can nest on your website. Then if fields, so we won't put any conditions here for now. Now I'm just going to send a welcome message to the contact. And I can send an email or I can send an SMS. As you will find also, it's possible to add directly a template. Okay, so that's a new feature of InvestGlass. You can create your own templates and create pre-built message, okay, which will include, as you can see here, your variables. So dear first name, if it's dear John, it will be dear John, blah, 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 blah. And you can also add different files. So why different files would be interesting for you, maybe for offboarding or KYC remediation? Let's imagine that one of the information PEP entourage equals true in the declarative first time answer. Then based on that, perhaps you want to send a message, but maybe now you want to send a message to the member, a specific member, or maybe to the contact owner, asking him to fulfill additional documents or additional form. So you will select a specific form that your relationship manager has to fill in. Of course, you can send this directly to the contact. Another type of automation is the capacity workflow. So here, again, contact, record action, create for all fields, create record. And now I'm going to create a new opportunity. I'm going to select a specific opportunity. For example, here, mortgage and credit. And I'm going to assign this opportunity, design here how many points this will cost, and specify here a correspondent language. So we want, for example, the relationship manager and the client to speak the same language. We can look into different types of field, the custom field, the relationship management field. And very important, we have the else, which will help you to escalate. For example, if you don't have any more relationship managers fulfilling those criteria, this is how an administrator will collect all those opportunities. The system is very powerful. Of course, I'm sure you're now thinking of many objects and many types of interaction, and this works, of course, for any objects. So for portfolios, for transactions, so you can automate with InvestGlass all your different onboarding and offboarding that way. Then for the approval process, you will first create a group of approvers. So for instance, in this group of compliance officer, I have 2 colleagues. And then I will create rules based on my existing rules. New rule. So here, I select the object. So of course, in the object, it can be a contact if you are doing a contact-centric approach. Account, most of the time, if you're a bank or a broker. You can also validate only documents. So if you do validate only documents, then it's a slightly different process because of course you'll have to merge all the documents at once, I guess, most of the time. So you have to produce from the forms the PDF, then from the PDF to merge them, then send it to the approval process. But the good news is, of course, that you can automate this process simply with this button if the documents are ready. Now I'm going to have a compliance officer group approving this. I can apply a specific logic. I can decide how I'm going to communicate, and then how I wish this process to be fulfilled. Everyone approved, everyone reject, one approve, one reject. And once I finished this process, so one approve, one reject, for instance, how I want to communicate this approval process. This is for one approval process, but it can also work in chains. So here it's going to be a chain of different steps. Step 1, step 2, which means that the 2 groups will vote in parallel, and then step 3. I'm happy to present you more details, or your project manager with InvestGlass can present you more details about how this works for the approval process. It's a very sophisticated tool. We are still improving it to make it more, I would say, astute and better in terms of user experience. So we're happy to share those approval processes tools with you and collect also your feedbacks about these tools. So here we've done onboarding. We looked into the onboarding tools. We've done also some automations. Just to finish, a little also view about this app. This is of course emulated on my PC, on my Mac, but you can have the same on your mobile phone. So this is the welcome tool. Well, you can actually in the welcome page host your onboarding forms. Here I just put some specific news. Also this very fancy I like, I don't like, a bit like a dating website to collect again in the onboarding very easily the client's preferences. So those preferences then can enrich the algorithm behind to hyper-target clients' offering. Here is the positions and the transaction, but that's not the purpose. Just what I wanted to show you is that it's possible from this tool also to upload different documents directly from your album, your camera, or your folder. But also you can upload documents, but also you can look into different forms that will be nested within this system. Okay. This system can also be used for proposals. So if you have different types of investment solicitations that you want to use, or just to present some onboarding quotes, this is how you can use InvestGlass application. Thank you very much for watching this presentation. If you have additional questions, please contact us on contact@investglass.com. If you're looking to also use this toolbox and you're not a customer yet of InvestGlass, contact us. We'll be happy to set you up a demo account for InvestGlass system. I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and I wish you a beautiful summer and also a very successful business in the coming month with InvestGlass. Thank you very much.